Hello. Oh, ow. Ow. That hurt. Hello. I'm Faye Grace, and this week I finished the Match trilogy. So the Match series is a dystopian romance, which I've said before I'm not the biggest fan of. I tend to find that, like, I either want them to focus more on the romance or more on the actual politics of the dystopian world. But this one was fine in some of the books, in one of them particularly. Also, this video will contain spoilers for the Match series. You have been warned. Also, the spoilers are not terribly heavy because it's a book series that came out in the 20-aughts, I think. I'll check real quick when the final one came out. Yeah, it came out in 2012. It's been out for 10 years, so. The first book in the series, Matched. It's the title of the first book. It's the title of the series. Was honestly my favorite. It actually focused on the dystopian life that it was being led, and it had the romance there, but it was less there than some of the other books, and I liked it a lot. The love triangle seems relatively realistic, and it was clear how everyone in the triangle felt. You could tell that Xander and Kai had a mutual respect for each other, and Cassia was genuinely torn between the two of them, and it seemed like she could end up with either of them. Overall, I actually really enjoyed this book, and I rated it 4 stars, which makes the second one so much more disappointing. The second book, Cross, sucked. I hated it so much. I regret reading it. I regret wasting my time on it. It gave it 2 stars. It was a pity 2 stars. It was this sucked, but it was trying so hard. It's clear that Ali Condi enjoyed the plot she wrote, and I have great respect for her. I've met her, and she seemed to be an amazing person, but I just didn't like this book. I just got really bored of the canyon storyline. The entire book they're in the canyon, and I hated it. I got really bored really quickly. I'm not one for survivalist stories. I read Hatchet only because I had to, you know? I just got really bored. It also felt like it got super obvious that Cassia, I read it as Cassia, but the audiobook said Cassia, so I'm gonna say Cassia, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, but if I'm wrong, I also do not care. I finished this book series, I'm done with it. I feel like Cassia now I'm saying Cassia. Jeez, I'm not gonna be able to get through this video. I feel like it became super clear that Cassia was gonna end up with Kai just because of how much she was obsessing over him. And it's like, well, then, like, she's not gonna end up with Xander, which I was a big Xander stan, so I was like, no, I like Xander. It's, like, freaking annoying that she's not gonna end up with him. Because I'm really a fan of childhood friends to lovers. I think that's a good trope. Overall, this book just really bored me, and I ended up forcing myself to read it out of spite, almost. And until the very end, when I was, like, actually entertained by the ending because it got good, and then it was over, and I'm like, oh, thanks. That made me so I rated it 2 stars. I would have rated it 1 star because the ending actually really did entertain me. The last book in the trilogy, Reach, was actually really interesting to read, especially given the real world pandemic that we are in and have been in for the past 2 years. It did make me laugh when people actually followed the pandemic guidelines, although they were in this recently dystopian society, and I assume they'd be more willing to follow instructions than people in very freedom-focused America. You could have just, followed instructions and this would have been over faster. I enjoyed the idea brought up that the society and the rising were essentially the same, regardless of whether or not the society was in control. Just, like, the idea that if someone's in control, then there will always be a lack of freedom, which is, like, I thought it was an interesting idea. I'm not saying I necessarily agree with it, I just thought it was a very interesting idea. I love the scenes in the village. I thought they were really good. I thought they were really well written. I enjoyed all of the characters in the village. I enjoyed learning about their situation and their whole society. I thought it was really cool. I didn't like how it felt immediately like Cassia was gonna end up with Kai again. I just was like, no, you're back with Xander. Please fall in love with Xander. I like Xander more. Kai just is a freaking, I don't know. He just kind of sucks. Like, I don't know. But I did really enjoy the characterization of the love triangle. I thought they all developed as people, and I really liked how Xander was developing. And also Kai technically cheated on her with Indy, and like she was chill with that. She was like, oh, that's fine. Like, no. Anyway, I rated this book 3 stars. There is a companion novel, The Last Voyage of Poeblythe, which I have read, but I actually read it before I even read the Match trilogy. It's signed by Ali Condi, because when I met her, she signed my book. It's amazing. I forgot what it says. What does it say? Oh, it says Run to the River. That's cool. Alright. I really like this. I recommend it. I think you can read it without reading the Match trilogy. It's just that if you read the Match trilogy, you actually understand why some of the things are the way they are, and it's like, oh, that makes sense. That's why the river's toxic. Blah, 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 blah. But I think this is a good book, and I recommend people to read it. I think more than the actual trilogy. So, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, comment, do the fun YouTube things. I'll see you next week, hopefully. Bye-bye.